lovers eat, they'll tell you I'm insane. Didn't warn you, boys only wine. That's Mazimas. Gonna stay here with me. Okay, you can stay there. Oh. Hey guys, my name is Anne, and today I want to talk about The Dead Hand of History by Sally Spencer. Here it is. The weirdest thing about this book has nothing to do with its content whatsoever, but more of the way that it reached me. I don't know how it got here, except for the fact that I went to pick it up at the post office. I don't know who sent it or why or like anything else about its origins. I did not purchase it. It wasn't on my wish list, and nobody I know sent it to me, and it wasn't either in one of the book boxes in one of the book boxes I had ordered, which is kind of weird. And I also didn't win it on a giveaway. So basically I don't know where it came from. Or rather, I do know where it came from, I just don't know how it got here. I received a notice from the book office. I received a notice from the post office about a couple of months ago. And they told me that I have book mail. But that was around the time that I had COVID for the second time. So I called them and I asked for an extension because I had to get it like within a few days and I couldn't make it. So I asked for an extension and they gave it to me. And even though I didn't know what it was, I still went, because I was curious to see what had arrived. So when I got well, I went to the post office and I waited in line outside in the cold because we had COVID still, and I waited for over an hour because this is Greece, and the people who worked there were also confused, but at last they found it, thankfully. And when they gave it to me, it was wrapped in this black plastic bag. It was all weird and all, and like, who wraps a book in a black bag? It looked like a garbage bag or something, which is weird. It could have been a body part wrapped in a garbage bag. Just saying. And given the content in this, the context? Given the context of the book, that kind of creeped me because I hadn't heard of this book before it arrived, but reading it, it really creeped me out. I don't get paranoid really. I just didn't know where it came from. And at the post office they told me that it came from France because all the stamps were from France and all. But the sender was from Scotland. And specifically it was a library in Scotland. I was and still am very confused. In one of my previous videos I let Cappuccino choose my next read and he went with this one. He chose The Dead Hand of History. So I started reading it right away. We left the city for a couple of days and I started reading it then. And the story is about a crime that was committed in England. Why did I say it like that? England. Early one morning, a passerby and his dog finds a severed hand wrapped in a garbage bag thrown by the river. So we have two red flags right there. First, the black garbage bag, which is like exactly what this book looked like when I received it. And secondly, the river. We have a river pretty close, like there's a river here in the city, so yeah, concerning. It's concerning. Maybe somebody's trying to tell me something. I don't know, I haven't gone to the river to check or anything. Anyway, I started reading the book and I was so consumed in it that it took me a very embarrassingly long time to make the connection between the severed hand and the book title. It's Dead Hand. It's the dead hand here. Like, yeah, it took me very long to notice the connection. After the first hand, they find a second hand that doesn't belong to the same person, and that's when the story gets interesting and very complicated. And after that, I forgot all about how the book reached me. And now that I'm thinking about it, after reading it, should I contact the library and return it? Because this book is full of stamps. Like, you have here some stamps, and here, and also in between the pages, but I know for sure we have one at the end too. And there are other stamps too, but I'm not going to look for them right now. So, am I supposed to return this book? I don't know. So, a few things about this book. It had multiple points of view, although not consistently, because some points of view appeared like only once or twice throughout the story and not in every other chapter. We only got some points of view when we really needed them, which was fun, but I think it would also be fun if we had the chance to meet these people even more. There's a fly in here. Overall, it was very suspenseful. We have Monica Poniatowski. Is that how it's pronounced? I'm not sure. She's the new chief inspector, and on her first day, we have these two gruesome probable murders. And every other man in the police department doubts if she can solve the case because she's a woman, and women are only good enough at, I don't know what their logic is. Patriarchy. And on top of that, she is forced to work with a racist, which makes her case even worse because originally she's from Poland. And the press isn't on her side either. She manages to prove everyone wrong when she finally solves the case, and not with the help of all those people. Okay, she got a little help, but there's a pattern in this book that mostly the people who helped her in the case were women, except for the DC. What's a DC? Detective Constable, is that right? I have Chief Inspector, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, I'm not good with titles. I don't even know what they mean. I just understood, that since she's the Chief Inspector, that she's above the rest, but there's also someone else who is above her. It's confusing me. I have no idea. I know nothing about the police department. She finally manages to make the connections and complete the puzzle and solves not only the case with the two severed hands, but also another case that wasn't even open. She had a hunch that maybe the person who killed these two people, and cut their hands off, that maybe it's the same person who might have killed a bakery owner who had supposedly died of natural causes. And although her hunch was wrong because they weren't connected in the end, after the exhumation happened, it was proved that the bakery owner was indeed murdered, but not by the killer, but someone else who she found. Impressive. I believe that this book, had it been given the right amount of space and time to expand on some things, it could have been a masterpiece. Just a little bit more thorough development, in all its complicacy, it could have been, one of the best books I've ever read. Because at the end, if you think about it, we have two murdered people, two severed hands. That was a spoiler right there. Yes, those people were murdered. Shouldn't have said that. Anyways, we have the dead bakery owner, and we have a daughter who's obsessed with the father, and we also have a guy who fought in World War II, and we find out later that he had severed the hand of a man during the war. And that made it all very complicated, and I feel like if it had been given, some more space to develop, it could have been brilliant. It could have even been nerve-wracking, I suppose. But especially the part where we find out what happened in that camp during World War II. I wrote World War III in my notes. The part where we find out what happened in World War II was kind of rushed, I think. And it being rushed made it a little bit unconvincing. At least I wasn't convinced. It was like, I don't want them to cut his hand, but he betrayed us, so I did it myself, even though I didn't want to do it. And I'm like, it took you like half a page to change your mind. Just, that might just be me. And then he was like, he was going to kill us if we didn't come forward, but then he was like, we were Polish, why waste the perfect German bullets on Polish people? And he survived the war because Germans didn't want to waste bullets on the people they wanted to kill. I wasn't convinced. What can I say? Other than that, I really believe this could have been a masterpiece if it had the time and space to elaborate enough. I was really torn between giving it 3 stars and 4 stars because it was a good book, but not good enough. So I'm like somewhere in like 3.7. I think I'm gonna give it 4, overall it was good. But 3.7 would be more accurate for me. But Goodreads doesn't give us that choice. So I think we should all sign a petition that forces Goodreads to add digits in its rating system. Because round numbers is kind of unfair. Or maybe we could start rating it on a scale of 10. Yeah. Like if you're in between 3 and 4, between 6 and 8, you can always give it a 7. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm gonna go enjoy the weather. I'll see you next time. Bye.